The Endless Golf Podcast, brought to you by Toyota.
And welcome into another edition of the Endless Golf Podcast presented by Toyota. Joining me here at the Ocean City Convention Center is the Director of Tourism, Tom Perlozzo. And Tom, it's great to be here, and I tell you what, we've got a little bit of a stormy day out there in Ocean City, which doesn't happen very often, but we got a lot to talk about today. We go back a long way.
Well, I don't know how long we've been friends. I mean, I hate to tell people how old we are, but
Right.
yeah, it's awesome. It's been awesome.
Well, I do remember this. A lot of people ask me, they say, Bobby, how did you get into the golf business and get into playing golf and doing what you do? And I said, really, I never even played golf until 1989. And this gentleman right here, Tom Perlozzo, introduced me to the game, actually gave me my first set of golf clubs, took me to Ocean Pines, and we used to play a little bit of golf out there with our old friend Mark Fritchley, John Petito, Tim Stoner, and that was really how I was introduced to the game, Tom.
Yeah, it's crazy how long ago, but that was in the early stages. We were developing Eagles Landing Golf Course at the time. I wasn't a golfer either, but I had 2 sets of golf clubs. And I'm like, hey, couldn't be a better person to get in the golf business, and look where you are today. So.
It is amazing, and without you giving me those golf clubs and introducing me to the game, who knows what I'm doing. Back then, I had Digger's Ribs and Chicken and the crab place out on Route 50 and 589, and now here I am, in the golf business, and it's crazy. And it's all because you gave me this set of golf clubs. Thank God you did that.
Oh, yeah.
But I will say this: it's been a great journey. And back then, you were the Director of Recreation and Parks in Ocean City, Maryland. You've had a couple different hats along the way in your career, and you've had an outstanding career. But back then, we kind of introduced each other because you were an athlete growing up, went to school at West Virginia, played football. Obviously, your brother was the manager of the Baltimore Orioles, Sam Perlozzo, so you had an affinity for baseball. And I was part of the Eastern Shore Baseball League, and we had a team from Ocean City, and the town ended up sponsoring that for a number of years because of our relationship. And we actually won that league several years, playing in the NABF World Series out in Louisville. And that was a great run, and a lot of the guys who I brought to town were employees of the town and worked on the fields as well.
Yeah, my brothers, they were all baseball players. Sam, great career, with the Twins, moved on to the Mets, ended up, coaching and had a great career with the Orioles, the Mets, the Mariners, the Reds. He's got some World Series rings. But I can remember, and how, we kind of sparked that relationship was, they used to play in the Valley League. Those guys used to, go get a job, play baseball. We were lucky enough at the time needing some help. You came in, we sponsored the Ocean City Breakers. I can remember we thought we had the coolest uniforms with tackle twill lettering and stuff. And, it was again, it was what we needed back then. What you're doing right now is what we need here for the golf industry. And, we're excited to be a part of what you're doing.
Tom, it's amazing. Some of the guys that we brought in along over the years. Todd Landman comes to mind. He's a guy who stayed here, and he was a baseball coach down at Snow Hill and made a home here, made a family here. And there was a lot of guys that came through Ocean City that spent 1 or 2 summers here that made it home, or if they don't, they always had an affinity. They bring their families back. They talk about that experience, but they work for the town of Ocean City. They got to play some baseball, and they enjoyed a great summer as young people in college for those kids. But at that time, we mentioned it, you were the Director of Recreation and Parks in Ocean City, but you were working on a special project, and that was Eagles Landing. Mm-hmm. And tell us how Eagles Landing came about.
Well, back then we had their city manager was Tony Barrett, and he challenged the staff to, find out how we can extend the shoulder seasons in Ocean City. And, golf, although fledgling at the time, there were several golf courses. Now there's, probably 20 in the area. And he said, look, Tom, what do you want to do? And I go, let's build a golf course. So we had some land surrounding the airport that was just used for farming. There was enough land there, and we convinced, city council and the public that, we could go out and build a golf course that wouldn't cost the taxpayers any money. That was really important at the time. So, it was an enterprise fund that was set up. The revenues had to, pay for the expenses associated with the club. Plus, it could generate that economic benefits in the, year round, but shoulder seasons especially, which would be spring into fall. And then, obviously it was got the town involved, we got the hotels involved, got the restaurants involved, brought people to town. And as we've always thought from a tourism perspective today is, look, if you come for a golf vacation, you find out what Ocean City has to offer, you may come back for a summer vacation, and vice versa. If you're coming here in the summer, we want to tell you about the golf, and we want you to come back as a golf vacationer. And look, the place just exploded with golf, and we've got some great, tracks here in town from world-renowned architects. So, we are a golfing destination. We are competing with our competitors up and down the East Coast. The hotels have really jumped in and made things great. We have packagers now. You can stay and play in Ocean City and have a great time.
Absolutely, and really that all got started in '91, the year that Eagles Landing, I think the Beach Club, a number of courses then over the next few years were added, Rum Point, the Links at Lighthouse Sound. So '91 was kind of really the year that everything got started.
Yeah, it was, we had to do some convincing, obviously, but, we revamped Ocean City Golf Getaway at the time. There were some entrepreneurs out there, but, the town, they decided to take, I got to give them credit for back then that 1/5 of, their advertising budget was dedicated to, jumpstart the destination in the golf industry. And, it's carried over today, and it's again, very important to our economy. But it was, it was a struggle. I mean, it was, there was those sentiment out there that we were competing with the private sector for a long time, when actually we were supporting the private sector. And we were just, Eagles Landing was developed not only as, we didn't want to consider it a municipal golf course. We called it, it's the town's resort golf course.
Because it's much more than, people think of municipal, they think of just an average golf
Yeah.
course. Well, Eagles Landing's no average golf course,
No,
it's special.
it's got beautiful scenery. You have to hit every club in your bag. We really looked at every aspect to trying to create a unique experience. Again, it's all about the experience. Bermuda fairways. I mean, I know I can remember people complaining that I had erasers on my pencils, but that was for a few guys that we know.
That's right.
We get pencil whipped most of the time.
Most of the time.
But again, a little gold leaf on the scorecard. Try to do some unique opportunities, not only for the tourists, but for the residents. We have no memberships there, so it was open to the public. T-sheet was open. And again, I think it kind of catapulted the whole industry into more development of golf, more customer service related opportunities, taking care of your property, and creating the experience we'd like to have people enjoy when they come on a golf vacation.
Well, Tom, when you were there at the Recreation and Parks Department, overseeing all the operations there, you did all the baseball fields, all the athletic fields, the gym there at 125th Street, a number of hats that you wore there. But the other hat that you wore was kind of interesting, was you actually oversaw the Beach Patrol. And that was a whole different venue, a whole different operation from what you've been used to.
Well, it was, I think I worked like 12, 14 hours a day because, every day was a new experience. But the Beach Patrol at the time, it was struggling trying to get people and guards on the beach. So it was kind of handed over to me and, then Captain Schoaf. And, there are some great people that are still there today from when I took over that division. But, I got to give them a lot of credit. They have the passion to continue their craft, and these guys are school teachers coming down every summer. They're just not kids out there. It's a challenging, grueling situation to become a guard. And again, that's what Ocean City's known for, being safe and fun, and the guards are really important. So I had that tenure, and I have to say, I was a Western Maryland boy. When when you come down to the beach and there's a seal on the beach, or a dead whale, or there's sharks in the water and stuff, it was like, oh, this is really cool. And that's kind of the way I looked at things. And like I said, I can't tell you how much I appreciated the support I got from the community and the Beach Patrol and the members itself. Couldn't do it without any of those folks.
I tell you, we've got a thriving Beach Patrol. They take a lot of pride in what they do here. Obviously, being here in the 80s, I grew up with a lot of guys who were on the Beach Patrol then. And like anything else, everything was harder back in the day. But they do say that the test is a little bit easier now. But back in the day, that was no joke. You had to swim, you had to run, you had to do some things in the pool, and they had some battles in that pool to try to get away from escaping, you know, when people are grabbing you and things.
Yeah.
So the beach patrol, you have to be in good shape and know what you're doing to watch over this beach, and it's important. It's an important job because you're talking about saving people's lives.
Without a doubt. You know, you mentioned we were athletes. I can remember going to those tests saying, I don't know if I could do that. I mean, I've been through the mill, you know, we have. I mean, you know, college football was not an easy thing, but, you know, that whole swim, I mean, I swam like a rock, so that didn't help. That didn't help.
You're from West Virginia.
That's what I was going to say. You know, you look, I'm in the mountains, you know. I could be okay in the woods, but that thing out there, but no, it was, you know, we created a great recruiting program, and we're fortunate. It's like Ocean City's visitors, you know, we have a fair amount, you know, I'm going to say over 50% of the people, it's a legacy type vacation here. And that's kind of the way the Beach Patrol is. We get 70% or so guards return, and they're 10 years, 5 years plus, and, you know, we're thankful for that. And then we kind of reintroduce and start that whole process over. So, but I will tell you, it's not, you know, this is not swimming, a swimming pool lifeguard. You're not sitting up there enjoying the scenery. You better be prepared because rip current, everything's unpredictable. You know, people lose their kids, they've lost keys, rings, you know, and, you know, the communication between the guards, you know, the semaphore that they do, it's a craft. And again, we're really fortunate. You know, Butch Arbin is the guy that I put in place when Captain Schroff, you know, moved on, passed away. And he, you know, he's been here 50 plus years.
Wow.
So,
I think he knows the beach pretty well.
He knows the beach. You know, Skip Lee, Mike Stone that are there. I mean, these guys, they've been here, and it's their passion. And, you know, Ward Kovacs, we're just really fortunate to have those kinds of guys that, you know, love Ocean City and want to help us, you know, keep it safe.
Well, Tom, it's an amazing start to your career for sure. After leaving the Recreation and Parks Department, you took over Ocean City Golf Getaway, and you were the president of that organization for a number of years. Talk about the transition and what your responsibilities were there.
Well, you know, I'm always up for the challenge kind of thing, and we were in the golf industry, which ended up being a passion of mine. They needed some help, so I can remember Frank Scott talking me into, you know, coming to be at that time it was called the COO of Ocean City Golf Getaway, and, you know, we wanted to, you know, continue the marketing with the town, but we wanted to also figure out a way to grow the destination from the golf standpoint as well as, you know, our shoulder season. So I was just a natural fit because I kind of had the pulse of the town, knew the players in the hotel industry, the packagers, and was very, very tuned into how to maintain a golf course, what it took budget-wise, what we needed to charge, the whole 9 yards. So I did that for about 7 years. I felt like I was lucky to be there during the heyday. You know, that year, that 2000.
Tiger Woods.
Yeah, that year, you know, every time Tiger would play, we knew the phone was ringing, things were happening, and you know, that definitely translated over to the destination. So it was quite unique. And again, 7 years, and it was, you know, more courses were being built up, more inventory, got more competitive. And you know what happens when that is, you know, that becomes a struggle. And, you know, we tried to do the best we could at that time. And again, thank God that it's continued on. And, you know, I've assumed a little bit of a assistance type role with them now to try to help the media out, do the things that they need to do to get back on track. So again, it's amazing how, you know, things come full circle. You know, here I'm in tourism. I was in Recreation and Parks. I helped out, you know, COO of Golf Getaway. Now I'm doing their media. It's just.
And you had a stint with Golf Magazine as well.
Yeah, you know, true passion. I was lucky. Again, the editors and the advertising director of Golf Magazine loved what I was doing here at the destination, and you know, again, asked me to, you know, manage the Mid-Atlantic, and I ended up taking the Mid-Atlantic, Florida, and the Caribbean for them, and I was able to provide my expertise up and down the coast. You know, sometimes. And
visit some great places as well.
Yeah,
right?
I got to play, you know, Pinehurst. I've been to Casa de Campo. I've been to Pebble Beach. I got to go everywhere. And again, it was an eye-opening experience. I could take some of my talents. Sometimes when you're a local boy, they don't get it, but when you go outside the market, they're really appreciative of your sense of business and what in the golf industry. So I've been fortunate. I had a great run with Golf Magazine and Sports Illustrated. And now here I am with the city again. I'm hoping to close my career out here.
Well, let's say this, Tom. That's a perfect time to take a quick break. We'll come back more with Tom Perlozzo. Talk about your title now here as Tourism Director of Ocean City, Maryland, in just a moment. So stay with us.
And now a word from our sponsor.
Toyota is moving toward a more sustainable future by giving you the freedom to choose from an incredible lineup of trucks, now available in both gas and hybrid models, including the legendary Tacoma and powerful Tundra, both available with the iForce Max hybrid powertrain, and backed by Toyota's legendary reputation for reliability. More choices, less compromise. Visit buyatoyota.com for a great deal on an efficient Toyota today. Toyota, let's go places.
And welcome back to the Endless Golf Podcast presented by Toyota. Staying with me is Tom Perlozzo, the Director of Tourism here in Ocean City, Maryland. And Tom, we've talked about your professional journey all the way up till now. And a couple years ago, you took over as a Director of Tourism here in Ocean City. And really, the steps that you've taken have kind of led you here. It's the perfect position. When you got the position, I said, I couldn't have thought of a better guy because, you like you said about Golf Getaway, like you said about being the Director of Recreation and Parks, you know all the players in town, you know the business people, you know this town from inside out. So this position really fits you perfect, in my opinion.
Yeah, without a doubt. I've always loved Ocean City. Again, my family was here. I brought them here. I used to vacation here, not very often, but not a very I say wealthy family. I got to come here and I was like, oh, I want to live and work and play here in Ocean City. That was always my goal, in the college days and early years of marriage. And I was lucky enough to get here, but to have this job here is a privilege. Again, everything about Ocean City I can do and tell people about, but the job itself has evolved as well. It used to be just, the ad agency was, the tourism department, and now we've kind of flipped the script. We've got our own department now. We have our own staff. We're doing all of our own social media, all the organic stuff, because we felt like it needed to reside here in Ocean City. But along with that is, look, the business development side is we felt like we were missing that part of Ocean City. The things like the Oceans Calling, the Country Calling, the Boardwalk Rock concert, the special events. So we've been making a really strong effort to upping our game because it does add tourism here. It adds people here. I'll get the complaints about too many people here, then they're not going all over town. But, sometimes, you can't keep everybody happy. But I tell you what, the economic value of what we're doing here is just tremendous. And I got a great team. I can't begin to tell you, how supportive they are to me and what they do for the town. We're just lucky to have them.
Well, I got to say this, Tom. One of the things I've always admired about you is you have guts. You have the heart and you have the confidence to pull things off. And that started with Eagles Landing. That was your vision. And you had to sit in front of the council. You had to sell that idea. And who knows if it's going to be successful back then, So that was a chance. And then when you got the position here as Director of Tourism, here you are thinking of this Oceans Calling. Now, 20 years ago, nobody could have ever thought this was even possible in Ocean City.
Oh, yeah.
But to pull that off, it really took a lot of guts, and you had to convince a lot of people this is a good idea for Ocean City.
Yeah, I mean, look, we are really good at telling people why we can't do things here. So that culture has changed. Now we're looking at things at how we can. So, and again, we're always going to have the naysayers out there. Look, the battle with the logo, the brand logo was out there. I mean, come on. We're moving ahead, and I can tell you that that culture is changing a lot. But we run into it all the time still. I kind of, I look at this as my family. I kind of, when I can remember looking at my two kids and. There was always this show I watched one time. There was a line in there. I was looking at my son, and they'd say, "What are you looking at?" I'm not looking at the boy I see, but the man you can be. And I kind of evolved that in a visionary sense with Ocean City. What can we be? How can we get there? What do we need to do? Let's throw all the cards on the table. If something sticks, we're going to go after it. So I've been lucky enough for Mayor and City Council to, give me a little bit of, I guess, rope to hang myself, I'll say, to come up with some ideas and to do some things. Like we had a balloon event scheduled this week. Unfortunately it didn't go. We brought PBR into town. We're looking at the Premier Lacrosse League building a, lacrosse field on the beach. We're looking at Nitro Circus. We're doing things that, traditionally there would have just been, no, you can't do that, to now, Tom, figure out how we can do it and will it, affect the economy of Ocean City. So that's always the bottom line. If I can put heads in beds, people in restaurants, extend the season, grow as a year-round community. Look at the Performing Arts Center. We had a Performing Arts Center here built. It's probably 12, 13 years old. We may have had 10 events. Now we're up to like 60 events in a season. And we're doing great things like we're bringing Bachman Turner Overdrive in. We have Broadway shows. We got Hadestown coming, Mark Twain in. We've done Chicago's coming in. We're doing lots of great things. And, I'm really proud of, again, our team and the assets and I guess the leeway that I've been given. When we have that loser, then I'll let you know. I might be on a golf course a lot more.
They'll let you know. I know that.
No, they got short memories, but that's okay. That's okay.
No question. Well, I actually enjoy walking the boardwalk 3 or 4 times a week during the season, and even the spring and fall. Obviously, it's just a great time. And I always see events up on the beach, and we have such a beautiful beach. Whether it's a kite festival, or you have tennis, you've got soccer, you've got all the things that we can do on that beach, because we have one of the nicest beaches on the East Coast, and I think we've done a good job of taking advantage of that.
Yeah, I mean it's the most valuable property in Ocean City. Obviously, people come for the beach and then they build their itinerary around their beach day. It's no question. But things that you mentioned like sand duel soccer out on a beach. I mean, we're looking at 700 kids, not counting the families that come out and participate on sections of the beach that really don't get any sunbathing. The people hang out at the top and we can use the back, but we're shooting fireworks. We're doing things that we just have never been able to do. And that asset is extremely important, and the town takes it serious. We replenish it when it's needed. We protect it, like this crazy high water situation that we're having now, and we shut the sea gates. We protect the property. The boardwalk is like our Times Square of Ocean City. People come to the boardwalk, whether you like it or not. They want to see the boardwalk. They want to enjoy Thrasher's fries, Fisher's popcorn. They want to see the t-shirt shops. They want to see what's unique in Ocean City, that they can come home. And again, that creates that legacy. Their families did it with their kids. Now they're adults bringing their kids, and that cycle continues. That's just life. And again, I can remember coming to town in '85, and once you got past like 65th Street, it was very sporadic. Now it's just wall to wall, up and down, both sides. Every year we have more inventory for hotels. We got more short-term rentals. There's a reason for that. Obviously more brand hotels are here than ever before. So people are coming down. They're enjoying Ocean City. We've had a great
and Tom,
season.
they're enjoying it 12 months a year too.
12 months. Yeah, that's the objective. People don't think we can be a year-round community, but look, when you have 28,000 to 40,000 short-term rentals are really second homeowners. They come down when in the off season and enjoy their units. Again, they make things happen in the summer with the rentals, but we have that, and look at St. Patrick's Day Parade. That's
huge.
That's the unofficial start of the season for us, and that's the middle of March. We do things. The boat show is huge here in February. We have Dreamfest in January. So there's something to do here, and
Winterfest.
And winter. Oh well, look, Winterfest is 40 days. And I don't want to say how long that's been here because I started that one. But yeah, I mean, and again, we start here. It's August, whatever the date is right now. But we'll be rolling into things like Bike Fest. We'll go into Wine Fest. Then we got Oceans Calling, then Country Calling. Then we got Cruising. Then we go into Sun Fest. Then we have the OC Run Fest. And then we go into Winterfest. So I can assure you, if you want to look for me, I'll be somewhere around here. I need to be out on a course down there in Florida with you, but I'm going to work my time in this winter. For
Well,
sure.
I'll say this, we talked about it earlier, and you've always had a vision. You said, you kind of look at this Ocean City, Maryland, is what can we do? How can we make it better? What events can we bring? And I know you've had some visions over the years, and I know we talked many years ago about an aquatic center. I know you tried to get that done and it didn't happen. And I know that you've really been a big push because of the athletic background, because of how big youth sports is right now. We know how crazy it is and how crazy the families, they travel with their kids and do all the youth sports. That's something that I know you're working on as well.
Well, one of the big priorities is a sports complex. If we could agree on a piece of land, we would have had a shovel in the ground. And again, that opportunity, once again, is a year-round opportunity for Ocean City to put heads in beds, again, people in our restaurants, create the economy, do everything, and it's almost recession-proof. And what I mean by that is, I think some of the statistics were that, families spend 10% of their gross income on their kids' travel, for soccer, lacrosse, wrestling, whatever it is. And Ocean City, is perfectly primed. I mean, look, 11,000 hotel units, 28,000 short-term rentals. And to compete, again, from a competition standpoint with our comp set like Myrtle Beach and Atlantic City, we need a sports complex. There's no question about it. It is and will be a primary driver of economics. And, then, as I, like to tell mayor and city council, then you won't be worrying every month about room tax and are we going to generate enough revenue to cover, our expenses in town? We don't have to raise property tax for the residents who are in town. We can add more police officers. We can do what we need to do. We just need to create opportunities like the sports complex to generate that revenue and keep Ocean City like a fine-tuned engine running. And, right now, I can tell you, there's just no time in the convention center. We do have some sporting events. We probably have 6 weeks. I can guarantee you I could sell out the convention center if I had, 50 more weeks or 28, 30 more weeks. We just don't have room. We did buy a few things, which, we're thinking down the road. We bought some flooring called TerraFlex, which is the same flooring that USA Volleyball, the Olympic team uses, but we can also use it for pickleball, we can use it for tennis, we can use it for futsal, soccer, and that's going to be inside the convention center to handle our basketball, our volleyball, and then potentially some, box lacrosse and some other stuff. So whatever weekends that we may get available, if we could bring them during the week, we could probably fill up the place. And, there's I'm just going to tell you, I have like an election coming up in 26 and they're upset because they can't get in the convention center. That used to be a polling place, but our team has done such a good job that we don't have the space. So we got to find somewhere else in Ocean City to go for your voting, early voting, but the primary or the general election I think will be fine. But it's just been the sports complex will just add so much to Ocean City as a destination. We need people to stay behind it. I know I tried several times, in Worcester County, but the crazy thing, Bobby, is that, when I got here, we were able to figure out that 80% of the sports complex would be funded by the state of Maryland, and we had the mechanism to pay for the other 20%. It wasn't costing the taxpayers any money. So you're getting a free facility, which, ultimately could, benefit everyone in our community. And, hopefully, we can get this project off the ground real soon. I know everybody wants it, and it's like Jess in our office. Every time she signs her daughter up for a lacrosse tournament in York, Pennsylvania, she comes in and I'm signing them up, and I'm like,
they're going somewhere
they're
else.
They're going somewhere else. I'm sorry, I'm trying.
Well, you mentioned Worcester County. That's one stop that you made, that you were director of tourism in Worcester County for a few years. And I'll say this, town of Ocean City is obviously located in the county, and there's a lot more to do than just here in Ocean City. The county has a lot to offer as well.
Well, the county was great. I was the director of recreation and parks, tourism, and economic development for the county. How about that?
Yeah. That's a few hats.
That's a few hats. But, the county is just full of assets that people don't recognize. And I'll I'm the perfect example. You know, my office was in Snow Hill, and then I'm like, Snow Hill. I'm like, then you find out the natural beauty of our county with the Pocomoke River, and then going down to Pocomoke and seeing what unique activities are there as well. Berlin, you know, Berlin has an event every weekend, 49 weekends out of 52, and you know, it was just, you know, pretty eye-opening, and we were able to do a lot of good things.
And you know what's interesting about that, Tom? I think a lot of locals that live in Ocean City and people who have place here don't take advantage of the county enough. You know, when you get outside Ocean City, there is a lot going on, and it has a lot to offer.
It's crazy. I mean, you know, even Assateague Island is just. I mean, we know, and you know how our intelligence work here. We know these people have IP addresses in their cell phones. We know how they travel in town. We know where they're going. So it's been a great learning lesson for our folks to understand that when people visit Ocean City, they wander off to Assateague, to Snow Hill. They want to see, you know, the slower, lower living kind of thing. And again, it's unique. I will tell you, I love the people. There was always a great story there. I mean, it went from weddings in barns to fishing, to trying to do a riverboat, which I almost got hung over, but to, you know, just like I can tell you a manufacturing thing, like Burley Oak, you know, they have like 11 acres of barley being grown in Snow Hill, but then they use it for manufacturing and sell beer all over the world, and of course they're housed in Berlin. So we were, you know, I got to be, you know, part of that, which is really, really good. And, you know, and it's from the sports side, you know, there was a lot of, you know, our facilities were 1950s when I took over, and we unlocked the key to a program called Program Open Space. We've been able to upgrade the fields, new fencing, new lights, new bleachers, new this, new that, and it's made a difference. You know, again, we're improving the quality of life for every resident, no matter where you're living. And, you know, Ocean City, back in Worcester County, it was the same kind of thing. And, you know, I think the new director there is doing a great job of continuing that legacy.
Well, Tom, I have to say, you know, thank you for all you've done for Ocean City, Maryland, you know, Eagles Landing, the golf business here, and more importantly for me, from a personal standpoint, thank you to you for introducing me to the game of golf. I would not be sitting here today if it wasn't for you. I think the two people, you know, in my life that really changed my life for my career was probably you and then Toyota. Toyota's been with me since 1991. They're still with me to this day. And they were confident enough to sponsor a golf show when golf wasn't even big back in 1991, and it's been a great run. And obviously with the town of Ocean City, the relationship I've had with them over the last 25 or 30 years as well has been terrific. So Tom, thanks, man. I really enjoyed sitting down with you and going down memory lane. We've got a lot of history together, that's for sure, and looking for many, many more years to come as well.
Well, Bobby, you know, the feelings are really mutual. You know, we kind of pushed one another back then to get out of the box, and you know, I couldn't have a better friend, I will tell you. And you know, I'm proud of what you've done here, and you know, want you to keep going, man.
Well,
let's do it.
That,
I'll help you.
All right. Tom Perlozzo, town of Ocean City, and always great talking with him and spending some time with him. We'll be back next time right here on the Endless Golf Podcast. So long, everybody.
The Endless Golf Podcast has been brought to you by Toyota.